All right, everybody, welcome to Trending. Today is Thursday, September 22nd. It's about 9:40 in the morning, and we are hopefully on one of our last Zoom episodes. We're, as you can see from both of our offices, you'll see Joe in just a minute here. We're still cleaning out our offices. We're working on getting the new studio set up. So hopefully soon we'll be in the new studio, but we're on Zoom for at least one more week. So, Joe, your office is looking more empty. You're doing a good job packing up right over there.
Yeah, man. It looks like you are too. I mean, it looks like you got just the vitals in there, your Sterling College pennants, So
Yes, just the essentials. We're making progress.
That's right, man.
All right, so we got quite a bit to get to today. So what we do on this show here is we try to take whatever's kind of trending in the news, kind of weave in our faith and talk about it from a faith angle whenever we can. So we got a couple kind of heavier things. I'm excited to get your takes on, Joe, but I don't do this very often, but I wanted to give a little teaser. One of the trending topics this morning led to a video that I found online that I think you are really going to enjoy watching. So if you don't watch the whole show, of course we want you to watch the whole thing, but if you don't, at least scrub to the end because there's a video I think you're going to like that might kind of go viral here in the next few days. So
nice. Heard it here first.
What's that?
Heard it here first, right? If it goes viral tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly. It's going to get the trending bump after today. So
that's right.
But first of all, Joe, actually, my number one topic is today's actually the first day of fall. So finally fall's here. It's been so hot here for like a long time, like a lot of 100-degree days. You and I are both kind of repping some sweatshirt. I got my Ridgepoint sweatshirt today. It was like 100 degrees yesterday and like 50 degrees and raining this morning in typical Kansas fashion. So
that's right.
Happy first day of fall to you, Joe.
Happy first day of fall to you. I mean, this is going to be hopefully like campfire and pumpkin spice latte season coming up. It's already football. I mean,
yep.
So, yeah, good stuff. Hopefully it's a good fall for us.
Yes. PSL is here and strong.
PSL.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that was number one. Just wanted to mention that. Next up, Joe, I wanted to talk about, President Putin and Ukraine and Russia are all trending this morning for various reasons. So I think Putin had some kind of press conference, or he at least let out a statement yesterday that they're not doing an official draft per se, but they are kind of getting in anyone in Russia who has basically any military training. They're roping all of them in to get involved with Ukraine. I think this thing's going a lot longer than pretty much all of us anticipated. I don't think we foresaw it lasting this long. So, Joe, here in the U.S., like we're not directly affected very often. It's really easy for us just to be in our day-to-day lives and forget that there's a really tragic war happening, and it's affecting a lot of people in Ukraine and Russia and all the surrounding countries. And so I just, in our place of privilege, we don't really think about it very often. So I just wanted to kind of raise that flag. And I want to hear from you, Joe. What have you heard about that? Are you following that? And as the church, what should we be thinking, praying these days?
Right. So I guess as a church, we should be praying for peace. We serve the Prince of Peace. And so we would hope that peace would come. We at our household, we pray for Ukraine at least a couple times a week during nightly prayers. And we're just praying that the whole thing would end, that Ukrainians would be able to go back home, that they get their land back and rebuild after all this devastation. It does seem like this is an interesting turning point in the conflict. And I think that Putin is kind of in a bind because he has to now change his marketing, the propaganda, I guess, on what the war is all about, where he initially said it was a military exercise. Now, like, he's instituting a draft. And the reporting that I heard was that, like, he said it wasn't like the full draft, but then like 300,000 people is a lot of soldiers. There's obviously now protests reported all over Russia. People, expressing their frustration because the war is now affecting the average person now, where I think they were able to shield a lot of the population from the effect of it. Now it seems to be inching closer and closer. Also heard the devastating news that they're going to hold some referendum votes in a couple of these territories that they have been able to occupy in Ukraine, like they did in Crimea earlier, 7 or 8 years ago in that earlier conflict. And so they're going to hold these like sham elections that the rest of the international community is not going to observe or embrace. And so it looks like we're going to be digging in for a long time, thinking about what's going to happen next in this war. Obviously, Putin was threatening even use of nuclear force if need be. So that, I think, we're just holding our breath. It's sad. It's devastating. The micro reporting that's coming out of these towns that Ukrainians are taking back from Russia and seeing what's happened there. This is heartbreaking. And so as the church, once again, we grieve with those who grieve, and we grieve with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters from all these miles away. So I think it's devastating.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, it's on one hand, it's just amazing. Ukraine is as strong as they are. They're holding on for a very long time, a lot longer than I think we anticipated. But yeah, heartbreaking at the same time. And obviously, we'll keep a close eye on that and keep them in our prayers.
Mhm.
Okay, another kind of interesting thing I want to toss at you, Joe. So the actress Tiffany Haddish is trending this morning.
Okay.
She was, I feel like a year or two, maybe 3 years ago, like she was just everywhere. She hosted SNL. She was in a bunch of movies that were kind of at the top of the box office. She kind of guest starred on everything. She was just kind of everywhere. She's trending this morning because she was involved in a sexual assault case of some kind. So all those cases have been dropped. She was not really charged with anything, but there was she's facing some fallout from that. So again, I don't know all the details, so I want to be really careful because I don't know all the details. But it looks like maybe she didn't actually do anything wrong. The family that did sue her said that they had some kind of settlement, some kind of agreement, and they're not holding any grudge. I don't know the details. But what I wanted to talk to you about, Joe, is she said, because of this, her quote was, she lost everything. Like she went from kind of top of the world to right now she has 0 gigs, 0 jobs. Like she was on this huge nationwide tour, bunch of movies, and now everything's gone. So she's kind of saying that this one accusation just totally kind of trashed her career. And I'm guessing she'll bounce back, but I want to talk to you, like, Joe, this is one of those complicated things. Like we want justice, of course. And if someone does something wrong, especially like this was with a minor. So if someone does something sexually explicit to a minor, of course, that person needs to be held accountable, of course. And if that wasn't actually true, Tiffany Haddish has had a lot of loss from that. Her career might have some pretty significant tarnishes in it. So how do you balance that, Joe? How do you balance justice? When do we give people a second chance, especially when things maybe even aren't proven yet, but maybe the studio she was involved with didn't want to be associated with the difficult case? These are hard things. What goes through your mind when you're hearing this?
And there's a lot there. I like David French, who is he's a lawyer, but he's also someone who creates content from the Christian community. Some agree with him, some are some are annoyed by him, but he likes to boil everything back down to the Micah 6:8 passage, which talks about justice and mercy and humility, right? Just to be only a justice person, at times we don't have moments then to express mercy, right? And then a lot of times justice people don't walk with any great humility. And there seems to be like this unending barrel of justice issues that they have to address, they have to get in the middle of. And so I think in these moments, obviously, people need to have their day in court, either to defend themselves or to bring an accusation against someone who has offended them. And so if one thinks that the justice system and people's day in court has run its course now, like it enters into a new phase for her and for people connected to her. And let's just hope that she can reckon with what she can do with the next phase of her life. I think whenever we do have setbacks, I think the pain of it all is that we don't know what the unknown next is. For her, as she's calculating what could be next for her, she thinks it's pretty much over. Like there's nothing left for her because this one piece of her identity has been taken away from her, or she's lost it, maybe because of her own actions, whatever happens, whatever is true there. And so I think with any of us, there is like forgiveness, there's repair, and then there's like development from there. And I think one of the critical things that religion has helped people with is, and I think this was a development in the Old Testament law, and it's something that the church has now developed as well, is whenever there is a fracture in community, what the Old Testament Mosaic law said, you do these exact things, and therefore you can have peace with one another and you can have peace with God. And then therefore there can be a development from there. And so I think that, people involved in this situation, they have to, I think, try to come to an agreement. Is there a settlement? Is there a settling of accounts? Okay, with all that's transpired, then now, how can we develop from here? And I hope that she has some wise people walk alongside of her and say, hey, like there's still a lot of tread on the tires of your life. There's still a lot of time on the scoreboard left. Like this doesn't have to be the end, but you can do something from here. And let's hope that she can reckon with that. And like whenever we have, something not exactly like this, but something like a setback in our own life, we have those same opportunities as well, is to truly reckon with the wrong. Okay. Like not gloss over it and not gaslight people by trying to put the blame on somebody else. But then like settle it and then say, okay, like I've gotten through 100% of the worst days of my life. Like it's the only thing I'm perfect at. I've gotten through it. Like I've gotten this far. And so what can I do now from here? And hope that she has just some people in life who can coach her with that for her next step in life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. We talked last week about Adnan Syed, the serial story, right? And so the news broke after we recorded that he actually was released. And so it often takes a long time, but justice often prevails in the end. And so hopefully whatever happened with this story, truth will come out, justice will be served, whatever side it lands on. And then I think also I was going to mention, Joe, like we get so caught up in the 24-hour news cycle, right? Like for us and I'm sure for Tiffany Haddish, like this is probably one of the worst days of her life. And on those bad days, we tend to probably overemphasize the current bad, right? Like all kinds of celebrities have had to overcome horrible PR things, right? And then a few years later, we just forget about it. That's just the nature of good or bad. That's the nature of the world that we live in. Things change so quickly. There's so much news. So again, especially if she didn't do anything wrong, I don't know if she's in the clear. I hope, and I really think she will bounce back and be able to have a really good career. So anyway, that's a complicated thing.
Yeah, I guess yet to be determined from here, right? There's a lot to probably still be solidified from this story.
Yeah. Okay, well, one more kind of tough one, Joe. I didn't mean for this to be a heavy episode, but here's just what's going on today. So
okay,
there's Jeffrey Dahmer is trending. So there's a new series on Netflix about his life. I think it's a dramatic kind of retelling of that story and kind of looking at some of the horrible things that happened. We don't need to get too deep into that, but I was curious again, just to get your take, Joe, on this kind of overall cultural theme that we're seeing, where all of these Netflix shows, all these Hulu documentaries, all these podcasts, like there's just this real interest in these kind of dark stories. And I think we're naturally drawn to things we don't understand, right? And so I think it's hard for us, for like, again, healthy people to wrap their minds around some of the horrible things that these people have done. And I think there's kind of a natural curiosity, again, maybe just a case, this deep innate sense of justice. We want justice to be served when horrible things happen. But is it okay for us to hear those kind of stories? Like, is it weird? We don't want to glamorize that kind of violence. Just, right. I wanted to get your take. There's a lot of these shows right now. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that you touched on, I think, an important point where there is this, we're kind of flirting with disaster by glamorizing these crimes and this type of behavior. I do think that there is just a curiosity of why, like whenever something is absurd and so extreme, like something like Dahmer did, I think people are like, how did he get there? How did he go from, some kid playing on the playground like every other kid out there to this place? And so I think that there's a natural curiosity of how these things happen. I think too, like there is maybe a segment of our society that wants to try to have some sympathy, like maybe something happened to him. Which because of that, I mean, obviously he still has to take responsibility for his heinous actions. But I think there's also this drive of like, hey, like there also needs to be at least some sort of an allowance to try to mine through his life and see if there's something that happened to him to, I don't know, to help that continue the story as well. I just remember when the story rolled out and the reporting of it, like there was simply no mining into the depths of that. It was just, he did these things. It was horrible. Like he needs to go to prison for it, and like that was his story. And so, but I do think that there is a small segment of society, perhaps maybe larger than I know, that says, hey, like, let's actually take a look at his story and see if there's not something to help connect the dots. And those may not be, but ultimately, what are these streaming services, these, creation hosts, what do they want to do? Like they want eyeballs on it, man. And I think that sometimes absurd things really do draw quite the large attention, and because that would be just a fascinating study in and of itself. And so, yeah, I think that we walk a tightrope here with putting these types of things out there.
I think you're right. We need to be really careful, but yeah, it's just a messy thing, especially as
Mhm.
there's just more and more of them. So yeah, I think it's wise to be cautious. And I'm
Yeah,
sure this won't be the last one. We'll probably talk about this again. So anyway,
yeah.
okay. Well, ready for a palate cleanser? Ready to finish up with something ridiculous?
Let's do it, man.
All right. I'm going to try to share my screen because I want to record and watch your reaction to this.
Oh my. Okay.
Okay. So Joe, you probably remember, do you remember the good old days of Guitar Hero and Rock Band?
Yes.
Were you in on Guitar Hero and Rock Band? Was that your jam?
I mean, I was terrible at it, but I still was there for it. I mean, yeah, there was just a lot going on. I think I just got a little overstimulated by it all. Yeah, I couldn't keep up.
Okay. I was never really huge into Rock Band, but I love Guitar Hero. I had several of the Guitar Hero variations and I really enjoyed playing those.
Yeah.
So the latest iteration, I don't think it's by the same company, but the latest iteration is a new game called Trombone Champ.
No.
So it's very similar to Rock Band or Guitar Hero. We've got Trombone Champ, and I just can't
Oh,
wait to show
man.
you this clip. Okay,
Oh,
here we
my.
go.
I think like the horses in the background just add to it all, man. I mean, it's like a very hard piece for a trombonist Oh my gosh.
I went down this wormhole. There's like 5 or 6 equally impressive videos of people doing the national anthem. You can find some real treasures. So if you would like some more very horrible music, if you want to go down the Trombone Champ rabbit hole, you will probably giggle a little bit. There's some good videos.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that great? Oh, I love it's one of those things where it's so bad you can't help but just start crying laughing.
I know, and like I feel like you have to get a perfect score or else it really does sound like garbage. Like, I mean, missing many notes on a single trombone, like that's just that's a lot of pressure.
This also gives me just great sympathy and appreciation for like 5th grade band teachers. Like those people deserve an extra crown in heaven or a bonus check or something, because I bet most of their classes probably sound like that every day.
I wonder if the average 5th grade band teacher belongs to like a kickbox gym, because they just got to take it all out somewhere, you know? Like,
I bet they're awesome at Trombone Champ though. I bet they are nailing these high scores here. So
that should be like, if you were a principal looking for a 5th grade band teacher, I think that would be the only interview thing. Like, let's crank up Trombone Champ and see how you do. You'll get this job if you can nail this piece.
I love it. So if you're a gamer, I think this is currently available on Stream, which is like one of the PC gaming platforms. I think you can do it on Roku or something too. So check out Trombone Champ. You will not be sorry.
That's wild, dude.
All right. Well, I got a lot of joy out of that video. I hope you did too.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Anything else to close out with today? You're preaching on Sunday. Anything else you want to wrap up with today?
I am. No, it's like a busy weekend for us. The NHL, there's 2 NHL hockey teams playing at Interest Bank Arena on Saturday. So we're here for that, man. The Skillins will be there, like the hockey community will be there. So I think there's probably still tickets available. So if you need something to do on a Saturday, you're not going to like the K-State game or something like that, you got to come down and watch some NHL hockey, man. It's going to be some good stuff.
Nice. And if you're watching this kind of early on Thursday, today is also our Wordle meetup at Aroma. So we have this Facebook group of all of the Ridgepoint people who play Wordle every day. We're going to get together in person. So if you're watching this, if you play Wordle and you're at Ridgepoint or you're, vaguely connected to Ridgepoint, join us at Aroma 5:15. We're going to have some fun treats and play some fun games and just get to know each other, because a lot of us haven't actually met in person. We just see each other's Wordle score every day. So
that's right. All the Ridgepoint Wordler Saints will be together. this
Looking forward to
afternoon.
it.
So yeah, man.
Rumor has it that Nate actually did prepare a limerick, and I can't wait to hear Nate's new limerick. So it'll be a good time.
I'm here for it. I heard that you choreographed some breakdancing for the group too. Is that what I heard?
No, I did not hear that.
No, okay, all right.
All right, man, we got to wrap it up. Thanks so much for all you guys watching today. Appreciate you tuning in each week. Hope to see you on Sunday. And I will, first of all, at Roma tonight, Sunday, and then next Thursday. So have a good weekend, everybody.
See you guys later.